Hello and welcome to Career Launcher. Through this series of videos, we have been taking you through practice questions of all different areas, including VARC, DILR, and Quant for the last 45 days to CAT on a daily basis. This video, you will be seeing Gejo discussing one of the questions from Countdown CAT 2, which is based on reading comprehension. That is the video for 43 days to CAT.
So let's start with reading comprehension passage number 1, 12.0. The passage is Hegel, or Georg Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel. That's his full name, German philosopher. So the passage had a simple idea that Hegel is exposing in this particular passage, or the author is saying what Hegel's point of view is about freedom. So the first thing that I obviously would want to do when I read this passage is to understand the controlling idea in each of these paragraphs, and then remember those controlling idea, and then go to the questions and see which question I can knock off maybe without going back to the passage. If at all I have to come back to the passage, I know exactly where to come back to the passage. Otherwise, I'm just going to skip the question and move on. That should be the attitude. Let's start with this passage and see what the passage is talking about. For Hegel, human self-interest and passion was what drove the history of this world. Hegel would say that yes, it appears on the surface that we are just these violent apes, but underneath we are all really working on the same thing, the realization of freedom. The history of the world, says Hegel, is a history of growing global freedom. So at least the paragraph number 1, we can understand what the topic is all about, talking about freedom, and that is something that is intrinsically there. We all would want to do it. Outwardly, we are probably violently, but underneath this word, but underneath we are all working towards realizing the freedom, and that's a history where it says there's a growing global freedom. So the passage is about freedom. Now Hegel had some interesting things to say about the conditions of freedom. Most important was that Hegel saw a strong state as the essential prerequisite for freedom. So you're looking at necessary condition that is given. The first necessary condition is that there must be a strong state. So we can see that in this particular passage, for freedom, one of the necessary condition, not sufficient condition, please understand, this is an essential prerequisite. It's like if you take the cat, so if you're going to IM, what is essential prerequisite is to take the cat. There's no guarantee that if you take the cat, you'll make it to IM, but that is a prerequisite. So if it's a strong state, there's no guarantee that automatically get freedom. But if you're not a strong state, then there will be no freedom. That's the difference between necessary condition and sufficient condition, ladies and gentlemen. So we have one of the things that condition that is given is a strong state. People would always be engaged in self-interested behavior, thought Hegel. It was the nature of the beast, but a state could manage those interests and harmonize those interests and create conditions whereby the freedom of one person do not overrule the freedom of other. The goal of freedom, contrary to the neocon view, was a strong state. It was an essential feature. So essentially this the argument of paragraph number 2 for Hegel is that if we don't have a strong state, then every individual would be looking at self-interest. We want to ensure that something has to channelize it, ensure that one person's freedom does not overrule the freedom of someone else. So there is a requirement of a strong state. If there is a strong state, and then you can have freedom, which I think in a lot of sense is correct when they say. So then we have to look at what does a strong state actually mean. So we need to understand what a strong state is. It's not like we are very strong as a state. No, there has to be something. So that's what Hegel is gone. I think this passage is gone again and discuss what does a strong state mean. A state is then well constituted and internally vigorous when the private interest of a citizen is one with the common interest of the state, and the one finds gratification and realization of the other, a most important proposition. So he's saying there is a common interest of the state is aligned with the private interest of its citizen. But in a state, many institutions are necessary. Again, he's talking about necessary condition, not sufficient. It's not that you just have an institution, but things will happen. These are all necessary condition. Inventions, appropriate arrangement accompanied by long intellectual struggles in order to find out what is really appropriate, as well as the struggles with private interests and passions, which must be harmonized in difficult and tedious discipline. When a state reaches this harmony, it has reached a period of bloom in excellence, in power and prosperity. So author is now getting putting a little more detail here. We would need institutions, and that institution must be in harmony, And that's when we probably create a place where there is prosperity, power, freedom, and things like that. So then the next paragraph starts with the but. But world history does not begin with any conscious aim, as do the particular circles of men. Already the simple instinct of living together contains a conscious people of securing life and prosperity. Once this primal society has been established, the purpose expands. So I think this is probably one of the sentence that you are always going, what is going on here? What is this sentence? But luckily, when you have sentences like this, try and make sense as much as you can about what the sentence says, and the question forces you to come back. The question forces you to come back. So all that this sentence is basically saying that there is no conscious aim for doing something. We don't start by saying that, look, we have a conscious aim. So he's saying it's about instinct of living. Together contains a conscious purpose of circulating life and prosperity. So we don't have a, the world history does not become with a name that we would want to ensure that the history gets in this particular direction. We want to do that. No, that's not what happens. Everybody has an instinct for living, instinct for life, instinct for property, securing life and property. And then, but world history begins its general aim to realize the idea of spirit only in an implicit form. As such, I don't know what that means. Namely, as nature, in an innermost unconscious instinct, there is something, there is an aim which is implicit, it's not explicit. Implicit is something that is implied, not outwardly expressed. So, and the world history, has already observed, is to bring is to bring it into consciousness. So all of us have all that. This one saying that we all have an instinct, an aim is to our instinct, and this can be brought in the open. The business of the whole business of history is, as already observed, is to bring it into consciousness, put that out there. And then the next passage talks about technology is another requirement for freedom. So now the next one is number 2, is talking about tech being another requirement of freedom. Hegel noted that bondage to subsistence did not make a did not a free man make, but neither did bondage of factories or office of boredom. If humanities was to be free to pursue its passions, the basic task of survival, the basic foundation of prosperity has to be technological. For humanities, for us to pursue a passion, we should be free to do things. Let's technology do all the mundane work, so then we can pursue all the things that we can pursue. Then we can pursue our passions. Technology has to be developed to a point where the human race as a totality can be free of the bondage of substance. That point has been reached. We live in a world where our technological prowess is enough to free the world from the bitter bondage of production. We don't want to sit and produce things. Let's focus on other aspects. Let's focus on passion. Factories and farms would still exist, but the need for long hours, sweatshop condition, economic bondage no longer hold. The work week can be reduced. This has not happened. Hegel, boy, this has not happened. All my students here working very hard. They have technology. Technology is actually creating a lot of problems. Hegel, really? Yeah. Look at the Zoom itself. People are sitting and working more. Unnecessary activities can be dropped and the world can be brought forward in the realm where work no longer serves the interest of accumulation and labor is no longer alien to alienate. So technology is another thing, so that can free us. So it's a great passage, it's a good structure of passage. I don't think it's any bit of trouble. Probably if you read this passage, the ideas have been pretty much mentioned very clearly. Let's look at, ladies and gentlemen, each of these questions and see how people fare. The first question, I can actually see, if you notice that 89% of you went for answer choice number 2, 3% went for answer choice number 1, 7% went for answer choice number 3, 4% went for answer choice number 2. So practically there was no fight. I don't know, for those of you who went for these answer choice would be going, why did I do this? Why? The question is asking about main idea of the passage. The main idea simply says that, look, there are 2 requirements. Like one essential requirement for freedom is a strong state. Other essential requirement for freedom is technology. That's what he's saying. A strong. So when you read this answer choice in this particular question, there is no way you are going back to the passage. For any main idea question, if you go back to the passage, it's a crime. What are you going to go back to the passage for? You've read the passage, you understood the idea, right? First of all, this word only itself should have given you a red flag. Only, must, never. So, but okay, so there is essential things of freedom that is given. So probably let's see. Only complete freedom and education can lead to what education? Powerful state. First of all, there is the word powerful He's not said that a strong state is a powerful state. There are too many problems here. You could have immediately eliminated once you actually read this much itself. There is no need to go down. So it's not about how many different private interests integrate. So powerful state is a wrong word. It's a strong state. A strong state is not necessarily a powerful state. And then education, where does education come from? So if you look at the second one, a strong state that works, a strong state, harmonizing individual and common interests, perfect, and technological development essential for the attainment of freedom. This would be something absolutely that is a pick me as a question. This should have been marked pretty cleanly. Let's look at 3. Our power again. Gone. Freedom from bondage of subsidies that technology can deliver us to the end of the world leads to perfection. What perfection? There is saying perfection. What is this? Why? It is impossible to achieve perfect freedom. Who's talking about perfect freedom anyway? All these are. So I think the question creator has been very nice to you with this particular question, making you saying that please take this mark. If you've read this passage, I'm going to give you marks. And this is, you've seen quite a lot of these. In fact, in CAT 2016, you would have seen 2017, 2016 passage is not available, but I remember 2015, 2016, 2017, and even 2018, you can see in this, the options were created in this manner. So if you read this passage, you take marks. You've seen a lot of these options like that. 2019 had some time, 2020 also had options like this, but in some of the question, of course, the options were a little more tricky, but I've seen this in the CAT always. If you read this passage, read any CAT passage, CAT offers you 9 marks or 6 marks. If you've read under the passage, there is about 6 to 9 marks in the taking. There is one here, ladies and gentlemen. Number 2, which of the following can be inferred from the passage about general aim of world history? Now we look at the word inferred. Don't people get psyched out when you look at the word inferred? Please understand, inferred means what? Something that is revealed by the passage. Whatever is inference, in real life we can make good inference, we can make bad inference, but when it comes to a passage, and when you say passage, which of the can be inferred, this is simply which of the following is true based on the passage. And this question is very, very narrow question, which is general aim of world history. So you can actually see that this the one that is mentioned here is very specific to the general aim of world history. Now 2 things would have happened. Either I forgot where it's mentioned. Okay, so I have to go back to the passage. If that is the case, I know where to go back to the passage. Then I will go back. If I don't know where to go back to the passage, there is no point going back to the passage because you'll waste time hunting for it. Hopefully read the answer choice and hopefully you can remember something from what is mentioned. In the beginning, it is a conscious and explicit aim. Obviously, it is not a, first of all, it's not a conscious aim. That is very clear. It is something that is implicit. So in the beginning, it's implicit. This is actually false. This is the kind of question whether the author will commit suicide if you mark answer. The goal is to convert this aim into a natural instinct. Goal is not to convert this aim into a natural instinct. Goal is to convert this, to bring it into consciousness. It is already a natural instinct. There is no conversion to natural. It is a natural instinct, and bring it to consciousness. So the goal is to bring instinctive aim to consciousness. That is the point, right? The business of history is to bring it into consciousness. What is that it that is referring to? It is currently in an implicit form. It is our unconscious instinct. Bringing that into the consciousness would be the answer to that question. But I can also see people are torn. These are the kind of questions where you would have been confused, and there is no way. I think nobody is going to go to 3 and say 3 is definitely wrong. There is no way. So for some reason, people got confused between 3 and 4, and for I don't know what. I don't know why would you mark answer choice number 4 when you know that you're confused. Leave it, right? Why you want to take a negative on marking? So this one is talking about the fact that you have to infuse spirit into consciousness. You're looking at this word. So you're looking at this, bring instinctive aim into consciousness. So you have to basically look at the say that if you're confused, looking at what is it referring to? Okay, you see, realize the idea of spirit. Okay, so is it referring to that you're putting spirit into consciousness? To begin with, world degree, the begins is general aim to realize the idea of spirit. Spirit is actually given in capital letter. I don't know what the spirit is. Only in its implicit form, namely its nature and innermost unconscious instinct. And the whole business is to bring what? bring the nature into consciousness, not the idea of spirit. First of all, this talks about realize the idea of spirit. This is aim to infuse spirit into consciousness. Just put spirit. It's like saying, I want old monk spirit. Okay, whiskey is also okay. Okay, let's do that. That is freedom. Ladies, why would you mark this, ladies and gentlemen? Why would you mark this one? So this is the kind of question that you would have been better off well left. So these are the kind of options where the question setter is trying to trap you by making something that is appealing but still wrong. And if you, for some reason, if you're confused between 3 and 4, the best thing that you do is just not do over analysis. Look at how these options are different. The options are different between instinctive aim to spirit. You would want to look at infusing. Is it influencing or bring the instinctive aim to consciousness? Ladies and gentlemen, this will be answer choice number 3 for sure. Let's look at question number 3. Which of the following statements best explains the author in the paragraph that program point has been reached? So it's already given the paragraph. So which means this one, that point has been reached. Technology has developed to a point in which human race at that point has been reached. So then I don't think that you don't even have to go back to the passage to read it, because you see the technological development now allows society to pursue its passion rather than working for survival. This would be absolutely correct. This is pursue its passion, free to pursue its passion. That point we have reached. So free to pursue his passion, and the free to pursue, the basic task of survival, the basic has to be technological. That's the point that is being made. Let's look at the answer choice. So it's about 16% if you went for this particular answer choice. Let's look at what mistake you made. Technology has reached the zenith of advancement. Mala, they have reached the highest point, and then after this only going down. What? But why? Economic success is zenith. All these are, so these are, you have to, these are simple things. No, you look at extreme words, right? So extreme words, zenith, always, never, must. So why would you say that it has reached a point of zenith? All they're saying that develop to a point where the human race is totally can be freed from the bondage of substance. So that does not mean that the zenith is zenith of advancement. That means that there is technology cannot advance anymore. The point is that it'll reach a point whether people can be free, not that technology cannot improve anymore. So technology reached zenith of advancement. Wrong. The rapid and pervasive growth of technology. Pervasive itself is a negative word. Pervasive has brought factories and extinction. This is like almost like the tone itself is very negative. How the author has never been negative with respect to technology. What is this? Due to varied influence of technology, society, political and social bondage is a thing in the past. What political and social bondage? What political bondage? What is substance? Is it what? But neither bondage, factory, options, humanity pursue freedom, the basic task. What is going on here? No. Like question number 4, each of the following can be enforced in the passage except. So obviously now these kind of questions, there is no way I can go to the passage because these can be from anywhere. So you're just looking at the answer choice and going that hopefully I'll probably pick this one. A strong state, as per Hegel, is one that enforces strict discipline. What is it? 6, the adherence to the larger interest of the state amongst private decision. So there is something about discipline that is mentioned. I think somewhere here that discipline is mentioned, which must be harmonized in difficult and tedious discipline. So this is so it's saying that inventions, economic literature, how to find what is really appropriate versus struggles with private interest and passion, which must be harmonized in difficult and tedious discipline. So it's a difficult discipline and a painful discipline. You have to be disciplined to get that. It's not enforcing strict discipline is a problem. The state has to be disciplined to achieve this. The state could discipline on its own. State is not enforcing the discipline and adherence to the larger interests of amongst private citizens. Private citizens who force cut. That'll be like North Korea. This is not what is being mentioned in the passage. So that is a problem. Lest everything, as per Hegel, even though humans seems to be in conflict with each other, the fact that we are essentially striving for the common goal of freedom. Mention. This can be inferred. We are just violent A, we may appear to be violent A, but underneath we have a common interest. Gone. The instinct that drives people to live together has a defined purpose of seeking security in numbers to safeguard life and prosperity. This, ladies and gentlemen, is from here. There's a simple instinct of living together contains the conscious purpose of securing life and prosperity. The instinct that drives the people to live are defined purpose. Same. Hegel believed that freedom included both the freedom of bondage and protection, freedom of humanity to pursue his interests. Mentioned, we must have freedom, including both freedom of bondage of protection and the freedom to pursue passion. We must have can be freed from bondage of substance, and then you have free to pursue passion. All these are mentioned, ladies and gentlemen. Answer choice of the question is 1. I'm putting that in red because it is except. If at all there was one question, this would have been painful. There was one question that is going to be painful, but from this particular passage, ladies and gentlemen, 6 marks is what should have got. And I don't like people getting 5 marks here or 4 marks there. That is a big problem, which means you are unnecessarily you are getting confused. Plus, to get those -1 mark, you are spending extra time also. You are thinking about this. If, let's say, for some reason you got confused with the particular option, chuck it, don't move to the next. You would have taken about 3 or let's say 4 minutes on a higher and 5 minutes to read the passage. Let's take a higher, and I'm saying that it might be less than that, but you would have read the passage about 5. Let's take your 5 minutes, read it once, understood. You can go to the question number 1. It would have happened in less than 30 seconds. I'm in 5.5 seconds. You read this one, you get confused. Let's say I chucked it in 30 seconds. I made the decision. I've been 6 minutes. This particular question, technology, nice, easy question. Another 30 seconds, we got the answer. That's about 6.5 minutes. Maybe this question, you read it, confused. In 30 seconds, we left it, which means about 7 minutes. You're out of this particular passage with 6 marks. The problem that happens is that we get stuck in options and then we waste time to get what? -1 marks. What is the point? Why? Just because you read the passage, why should I ensure that I should answer every single question? There are, imagine this, right? So there are these questions which is as easy here as 89% accuracy of here you can actually see something like 89%. The second one has gone to 45% with another question with the same 45%. So this means this is a confusing question. Why? Because the options are confusing. What makes the questions difficult is options. This would have been very easy to maybe all that the question creator would have to make your life painful is take one particular option and turn it around and ensure that is also very appealing. And then you start getting confused. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's what you need to do with passage number 1 of these 4 questions. All of this could have been done. I'll see you. Bye.